Nerderotic.com.
I want to live forever in a land where summers last 1,000 years. I want a castle in the clouds where I can look down over the world. I want to be 6 and 20 again. When I was 6 and 20, I could fight all day and fuck all night. What men want does not matter. Winter is almost upon us, boy, and winter is death. I would sooner see my men die fighting for Ned's little girl than alone and hungry in the snow, weeping tears that freeze upon their cheeks. No one sings songs of men who die like that. As for me, I am old. This will be my last winter. Let me bathe in Bolton blood before I die. I want to feel it spatter across my face when my axe bites deep into a Bolton skull. I want to lick it off my lips as I die with the taste of it on my tongue. That is one of the best man-up speeches I have ever heard, and it comes from a Game of Thrones. It actually comes from A Dance with Dragons, from Hugo Wolf. It also acts as acceptance of our fate, and it looks like the fandom and the media are doing the same. Welcome back, everybody. Gary here from Nerderotic, and it looks like the tide is continuing to turn, and acceptance has set in with the fandom and the media. And I just go to the CNET article that we're going to be going over. Now, I mentioned it in my previous video, and the only reason I'm doing a video on it is because they changed the headline. Now, I pointed out this article in my last video and had planned to do a video on the article, and I noticed the headline had changed. Just 24 hours ago, it was Game of Thrones Season 8. Are we headed for disappointment? Dueling commentary. With 2 Game of Thrones episodes to go, fan expectations are pushing the world's biggest show toward becoming the world's biggest bummer. Surely you wouldn't be insinuating that the fans' theory crafting and the fans' theories and the fans being excited based on the promise of an epic battle that was supposedly built up over 8 seasons and unfortunately never happened. Winter came and ended up being a light cold front. Well, the headline has since changed. Game of Thrones Season 8, Why People Are Giving Up Hope. Dueling commentary. Fan expectations are pegging the world's biggest show to become the world's biggest bummer. I would love to think the media changed their tune because they knew they were in the wrong, blaming the fans, but I think this has everything to do with the spoilers that have been making the rounds the last few days. Those spoilers that have actually been around for 4 months. And the fact that these spoilers have been 100% correct about the previous 4 episodes certainly confirms what we are heading for, and what we are heading for is more disappointment. Believe me, folks, you want to be prepared for this one, because they will make The Long Night and The Last of the Starks look like the Red Wedding. There's only 160 minutes left in Game of Thrones, the biggest prestige TV drama that has ever existed on planet Earth. For almost a decade, we've championed the Starks, certain Lannisters, and one Targaryen. We've mourned for the Starks several times, as well as heroes like Olenna Tyrell, and of course, Oberyn Martell. We've showered the show with praise for 8 years. Most fans agree Game of Thrones has been really good for a really long time, but the tide seems to be turning. It certainly does. The Battle of Winterfell ending with an Arya Stark KO was where it started. Flickers of dissatisfaction were all over the internet. Reddit threads are full of disillusioned longtime fans. Twitter, and a usual joyous bastion of Game of Thrones fandom, is a battleground. With episode 4, The Last of the Starks, those flickers became unavoidable conflagrations, swallowing up all the online oxygen. Now, this article is a pretty reasoned debate back and forth for somebody who's basically on our side, who thinks the show is being rushed and it's turned to crap, and another one saying that our fan expectations are too high and we basically don't understand what we're watching. I am going to just pull out a couple of paragraphs and respond to them, but we do need to start out again with the petting of Ghost. The more I think about it, this is where the show completely failed. This is where the show, as Dictor Van Doomcock said, lost its heart. You had time to show us Arya's side boob, and you didn't have time to pat Ghost on the head. That's where your show truly died. Now, it had been dying a long time before this. We can all agree on that. But we still could have had a satisfying ending. Now, like I said, I'm not going to read this whole article. I'm just going to pick out a couple of paragraphs that I thought stuck out. The guy who's talking about fan expectations is Daniel Van Boom, and he's saying the tired old argument of fans are just too into stuff, and it just sounds like to me a guy who doesn't really understand fandom that much. Game of Thrones is basically the new Star Wars. I'll agree with him there. Every time anything happens in Star Wars, there's a large segment of the fan base that's furious. They take it so seriously. Yeah, they do. They're called fans. And that's cool. Well, thank you for your validation, Daniel Van Boom. Thank you for telling us it's cool for us to be fans and be passionate about stuff. I'm sure you like it when people read your articles when fans are passionate about things, gets you clicks, pays your bills. Same with Dan and Dave, same with HBO. They really love that passion until it's turned. Being passionate about something that's deeply affected your life is fair. Again, thanks for that validation, buddy. But at the same time, a lot of the criticism reeks of misguided expectations. I beg to differ again. There were some specific expectations that were set up that weren't set up to be subverted that they, Dan and Dave, decided to subvert later just for a gimmick. And I will state again, while I don't think Arya is a Mary Sue at all, her act of killing the Night King, the symbolism of it was not lost on me at all. It was a Deus Ex Machina, but it was also to show a little girl killing the big, powerful, bad White Walkers. There was symbolism there. Hold your dragons, mate. No one brought Jedis into this discussion. Let's stay focused here. The internet gets mad at a lot of things, and the last episode of Game of Thrones provoked the online beast. I do like Jackson Ryan's retort, although he said nobody brought up Jedis and this is nothing like Star Wars The Last Jedi. I disagree. This is a lot like Star Wars The Last Jedi. Again, it was a franchise that was kind of petering out, but it could have saved itself, and instead it dealt itself the killing blow. And he even brings up Ghost, and he brings up something that makes a lot of sense. First, let's talk about not petting Ghost. Tell me you have some justification for this that isn't CGI's expensive. It is unjustifiable. They could have crowdfunded a better ending for the direwolf. It's nonsense. I totally agree with that. And then they go on to debate certain aspects of the show, like the Hound and Arya riding off to King's Landing together, and now this would have been something really good to watch, but we're not going to see any of it. And Dany turning bad, and we're not going to really see any of it. We're just going to see her turn bad. That is what the last two seasons have. And while being on opposing sides, both of these guys agree it has been rushed. And I think we can all agree it's been rushed and it's been terrible. And there's a hashtag remake Game of Thrones Season 8. I'd be for it, but it would have to be 20 episodes long and written by somebody else. And we have the Rotten Tomatoes tweet, The Last of the Starks is the second lowest rated episode of Game of Thrones ever. No matter the scores of the final two episodes, this season will be the lowest rated in the series history. And then we have a Twitter blue check mark bitching about YouTubers. My YouTube recommendation is just countless videos about how they've ruined Game of Thrones. Thanks for watching. And that's just it, isn't it? It's been ruined. It's already been ruined. Doesn't matter what these two episodes bring. Doesn't matter what happens in these two episodes. I could say that these might be the greatest two episodes of Game of Thrones, and it still won't help. The damage has already been done, and the fandom just needs to learn to accept it. As each day passes, more and more of them are. But at least we have memes. Game of Thrones made an oopsie. Say your last words. Jaime fucked Brienne. Haha, that one's a good one. The best ending we could hope for. 7 hells, cat. I've had the most terrible dream. It should have been her. You damn right. Justice for old Nan. Well, looks like Euron got his Valyrian steel armor after all. And we want to remind the cinematographer from Game of Thrones that Lord of the Rings Two Towers was shot almost 2 decades ago. And here's a preview of the Blu-ray back cover. Coming to a theater near you, D.B. Weiss and David Benioff in a fabulous, fresh, and totally expectation-subverting battle for the throne. How to lose a fan base in 10 days. One of them is forgetting, so is the other. And once we have come out of the ashes of disappointment and embraced acceptance, we get joyous humor and we move on with our lives. Yes, we might have wasted 8 years invested into this show, but we're going to have 2 decades of some of the greatest memes known to man and woman. I can do this forever, but I won't. I will spare you. Everybody have a great day. Please join me and Dictor Van Doomcock live 15 minutes after the episode airs this Sunday and for the finale right here on Nerdrotic. And join me for pre-Game of Thrones at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time on Nerdrotic Live. Please go over there to subscribe, like, share, and subscribe, and may the small folks sing songs of your greatness.
nerderotic.com. Please subscribe.